If you really want to know about the how the successful people follow the routine, and Robin Sharma has been collected all that information and compiled a book. The book name is The 5 AM Club. Earlier, chapter 1, I have discussed that the some of the things, so what the things need to be the taken care, and now further moving to chapter 2. A daily philosophy on becoming legendary. Do not allow your fire to go out. Spark by irreplaceable spark in the hopeless swamp of the not quite. The not the not yet and the not at all. Do not let the hero in your soul perish in the lonely frustration for the life you deserve and have never been able to reach. The world you desire can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It is yours. And Ron. He was a speaker of the finest kind, a genius spellbinder, nearing the end of the fabled career, and now in his 80s, he had become revered throughout the world as a grandmaster of inspiration, a legend of leadership, and a sincere statesman helping everyday people realize their greatest gift. In a culture filled with volatility, uncertainty, and insecurity, the Spellbinders events drew stadiums sized numbers of the human beings who longed not only to lead masterful lives filled with creativity, productivity, and prosperity, but also to exist in a way that passionately elevated humanity, so that at the end they would feel confident they had left a wonderful legacy and made their mark on the generations that would follow. This man's work was unique. It blended insights that fortified the warrior within our characters with the ideas that honored the soulful poet who resides inside the herd. His messaging showed arbitrary individuals how to succeed at the highest levels of the business realm yet reclaim the magic of the life richly lived. So we return to the sense of awe we once knew before a hard and cold world placed our natural genius into bondage by an orgy of complexity, superficiality, and technological distractions. Though the spellbinder was tall, his advantage years left him slightly bent over. As he walked the platform, he stepped carefully yet gracefully. A precisely 15 charcoal grey suit with a soft white pinstripes gave him an elegant look, and a pair of blue tightened eyeglass added just the right amount of cool. Life's too short to play small with your talents. The spellbinder spoke to the room of the thousands. You were born into the opportunity as well as the responsibility to become legendary. You have been built to achieve masterwork level projects designed to realize unusually important pursuits and constructed to be a force for good on this tiny planet. You have it in you to reclaim sovereignty over your primal greatness in a civilizations that has became fairly uncivilized, to restore your nobility in a global community where the majority shops for nice shoes and acquires expensive things yet rarely invests in a better self. Your personal leaderships require no demands that you stop being a cyber zombie, relentlessly attracted to digital device and restructure your life to moral mastery. Exemplify decency and relinquish the self centeredness that keeps good people limited. The great women and men of the world were all givers, not takers. They renounced the common delusion that those who accumulate the most win. Instead, do work that is heroic, that changes your marketplace by the quality of its originality as well as from the helpness it provides. While you do so, my recommendation is that you also create a private life as strong in ethics, rich with marvelous beauties, and unyielding when it comes to the protection of your inner peace. This, my friends, is how you soar with the angels and the walks alongside the gods. The spellbinder stood he drew in the gulf of the air, a big as a mountains. His breathing grew sustained and made a woozy noise as he inhaled. He looked down at his stylish blackboards that would have had been polished up to military grades. Those in the front row saw a single tear drizzle down the time worn yet once handsome face. His gaze remained downwards, his silence was thunderous. The spellbinder appeared unsteady after a series of stressful moments that had some in the audience shifting in their seats. The spellbinder put down the microphone he had been holding in his left hand. With his free hand, he tenderly reached into the pocket of his trousers and pulled out a crispy, folded lined handy handkerchief. He wiped his cheek. Each of you has a call on your lives. Every one of you carries an instinct for excellence within your spirits. No one in this room needed to stay frozen in the average and succumb to the medio- medio- mediocritization, mass mediocritizations of behavior evident in society along with collective deprofessionalizations of business so apparent in industry. Limitation is nothing more than a mentality that too many good people practice daily until they believe it's reality. It breaks my heart to see so many potentially powerful human beings stuck in the story about why they can't be extraordinary. Professionally and personally, you need to remember that your excuses are seducers, your fears are liars, and your doubts are thieves. Many nodded, a few clapped, then many more applauded. I understood. I understand you. I really do. Continued the spellbinder. I knew you have had some difficult times in your life. We all have. I get that you might be feeling things haven't turned out the way you thought they would when you were a little kid, full of fire, desires, and wonders. You didn't plan on each day looking the same, did you? In a job that might be smothering your soul, dealing with stressful worries and endless responsibilities that stifle your originality and steal your energy, lusting after unimportant pursuits and hungry for the instant fulfillment of trivial desires, often driven by a psychology, by a technology that enslaves us instead of liberating us. Living the same week a few thousand times and calling it a life. I needed to tell you that too many among us die at 30 and are worried at 80. So, I do get you. You hope things would be different, more interesting, more exciting, more fulfilling, spatial, and magical. The spellbinder's voice trembled as he spoke these last words. He struggled to breathe for an instant. At an instant, a look of concern caused his brows to crinkle. He sat down a cream colored chair and had been carefully placed at the side of the stage by one of his estate assistants. And yes, I am aware that there was also many in this room who are currently leading lives you love. You are an epic success in the world, fully on your game and enriching your families and communities with an electricity that borders on otherworldly. Nice work, bravo, and yet you too have experienced seasons where you have been lost in a frigid and dangerously valley of darkness. You too have known the collapse of your creative magnificence as well as your productivity emergence into a tiny circle of comfortable, comfortableness, comfortableness, fearfulness, and numbness that betray the mansion of the mastery and reservoirs of braveries inside of you. You too have been disappointed by the barren winters of the life weakly lived. You too, you have been denied many of your most inspired childhood dreams. You too have been hurt by the people you trust. You too have had your ideals destroyed. You too have had your innocent heart devastated, leaving your life decimated like a ruined country after ambitious foreign invaders infiltrated it. The cavernous conference hall was secretly still. No matter where you are on the pathway of your life, please don't let the pain of an imperfect past hinder the glory of your fabulous futures. You are so much more powerful than you may currently understand. Splendid victories and otherwise and outright blessings are coming your way, and you are exactly where you needed to be to receive the growth necessary for you to lead the unusual productivity, extremely prodigious and exceptionally influential life that you have earned through your hardest trial. Nothing is wrong at this moment, even if it feels like everything falling apart. If you sense your life a mess right now, this is simply because your fears are just a little stronger than your faith. With a practice, you can turn down the volume of the voice of your scared self and increase the tone of your most triumphant side. The truth is that every challenging event you have experienced, each toxic persons that you have encountered, and all the trial you have encountered and all the trials you have endured have been perfect preparations to make you into a person that you now are. You needed these lessons to activate and treasures, talents and powers that are now awakening within you. Nothing was an accident, zero was a waste. You have definitely exactly where you need to be, being the life of your most supreme desires, one that can make you an empire builders along with the world. changes, and perhaps even a history maker. This all sound easy, but it's a lot harder in reality, shouted a man in the red baseball cap seated in the fifth row. He spotted a grey t-shirt and ripped jeans and type you can buy turn at your local shopping mall. Though this outburst could have seemed disrespectful, the pitch of the participant's voice and his body language displayed genius admirations for the spellbinder. I agree with you, you wonderful human being, responded the spellbinder. His grace influencing all participants and his voice sounding somewhat stronger. As he stood up from his chair, ideas are worth nothing unless backed by applications. The smallest of the implementations is always worth more than the grandest of intentions. And if being an amazing person and developing a legendary life was easy, everyone would be doing it. Know what I mean, sure, dude, replied the man in the red cap as he rubbed his lower lip with a finger. Society has sold us a series of mistruths. The spine binder continued that pleasure is preferable to the terrifying yet majestic fact that all possibilities requires hard work, regular reinvention, and the dedication as deep as sea to living our harbor of safety. Daily, I believe that seduction of the complicancy and an easy life is 100 times more brutal. Ultimately, than a life where you go all in and take an unconquerable stand for your brightest dream. World class beings begins where your comfort zone ends in the rule the successful. The influential and the happiest always remember the man noted groups of people in the audience were doing the same. From a young age, we are programmed into thinking that moving through life loyal to the values of masteries, ingenuity and decency should need little effort. And so, if the road gets tough, they require some patience. We think we are on the wrong path, commented the spellbinder as he grasped an arm of the wooden chair and folded his thin frame into the seat again. We have encountered a culture of soft, weak, and delicate people who can't keep promises, who bail on commitments, and who quite on their aspirations the moment the smallest obstacle shows up. The orator then signed loudly, hard as good. Real greatness and the realization of your inherent genius is meant to be a difficult sport. Only those devoted enough to go to the fiery edge of their highest limits will expand them, and the suffering that happens along the journey of the masterizing your space's power, strongest ability, and most inspiring ambitions is one of the largest source of the human satisfactions. A major key to happiness and the internal peace is knowing you have done whatever it took to earn your rewards and professionally invested the effortful audacity to become your best. Jazz legendary Miles Davis stretched himself ferociously past and normal his felt new to fully exploit his magnificent potentials. Michelangelo sacrificed enormous mental, emotionally, physically, and spiritually as he produced his awesome arts. Rosa Parks, a simplest seamstress with outstanding courage, endured blunt humiliation when she was arrested for not giving up her seat on the segregated bus, igniting the civil rights movement. Charles Darwin demonstrated the kind of resolve that virtuosity demands for studying barnacles. Yes, barnacles for 8 long years as he formulated his famed theory of evolution. This kind of dedications to the optimization of expertise would now be labeled as a crazy. But by the majority in our modern world that spends huge amounts of their irreplaceable lifetime watching streams of selfies. The breakfast of the virtual friends and violent videos game noted the spellbinder as he peered around the hall as if committed to the looking each of the attendees straight in the eye. Stephen King worked as a high school writing teacher and in an industrial laundry before selling. Carries the novel that made him famous. The aging presenters continued. Oh, and please know that Kings was so discouraged by the rejections and denials that he threw the manuscript he wrote in his random talent into the garbage surrounding to the struggles. It was only when his wife Tavia discovered the work while her husband was away, wiped off his cigarette ashes, read the book, and then told its author that it was brilliant, that King submitted it for publication. Even then, his audience for hardcover rights was paltry $2500. Are you serious? Mumbled a woman seated near the stage. She wore a lush green that with a big scarlet feather sticking out of it and was clearly con- content with marching to her own drum beat. I am said the spellbinder, and while Vincent van Gogh created 900 paintings and over 1,000 drawings in his lifetime, his celebrity started after his death. His drive to produce wasn't inspired by the ego fuel of popular applause but by a wiser instinct that intensed him to see just how much of his creative power he could unlock. No matter how much leadership he had to endure, becoming legendary is never easy. But I'd prefer that journey to the heartbreaking of being stuck in ordinary that so many potentially heroic people deal with constantly articulated the spellbinder firmly. Anyway, let me simply that the place where your greatness discomfort lies is also the spot where your largest opportunity lives. The belief that disturb you, the feeling that threaten you, the projects that unnerve you, the unfoldments of your talents, that insecure part of your age resisting are precisely where you need to go. Learn deeply towards these doorways into your bigness as a creative producer, seekers of personal freedoms and possibilitarians, and then embrace these beliefs, feelings, and projects quickly instead of structuring your life in a way that designed to dismiss them. Walking into very things that scare you is how you reclaim your forgotten power and you get back the innocence and away you lost after childhood. Suddenly, the spellbinder started to cough. Mildly at first, then violently, like he'd been possessed by the demon hell bent on avarice. In the wings, a man in the black suit with an aggressive clue cutter spoke into the mouthpick tucked discreetly into his short cuff. The light began and flickered, then dim. A few members who were locked near the platform students unsure of what to do. A uniquely pretty woman with her hairs in crisp bun, clenched smile and tight black dress with an embroidered white collar rushed up the metal staircase that the spellbinder had ascended at the beginning of his talk. She carried a phone in one hand and as well as her notebook in another. Her red high heel made a click clack click clack sound as he hastened towards her employers. Yet the woman was too late. The spellbinder crumpled to the floor like punch-drunk boxer with a large, hurt but weak skills in the final round of one's glorious career that he should have ended many years earlier. The old presentist lay still. A tiny river of the blood escaped from a cut of his head, sustained on his fall. His glasses sat next to him. The handkerchief was still in his hand. His once sparkling eyes remained closed. So this is the chapter second ended here. We'll again come with chapter 3. Thank you.